Hey everybody, welcome to Camel City Chat. I'm your host, John McPherson, and I am here with Mary Haglund. That's right. Mary, of course, is here with me. There you go. So, Mary, I'm so thankful that you've taken the time to sit with me today.
You came to my porch.
Yeah, and we're sitting on your porch. It kind of looks like your restaurant, by the way. Did you steal some stuff from the restaurant? Can I take these home with me? I really like those.
I just got those.
But Mary,
I know, they're so hot. I know.
So, this is a first for me. I've never had someone know more about me than I knew about them.
I'm prepared.
You are an interviewer. We've talked a little bit about that. Turns out we have some very, very common mutual friends and know of each other, but never have really sat down and talked.
Right.
You're someone that I respect in our community. We have the same goal, which is making people know that Winston-Salem is as wonderful as it is. So let's get them out of the way.
Absolutely.
So what's my first question?
Your first question is, where are you from,
right,
and how long have you been in Winston?
Okay, so I guess you better answer that then.
Well, I was born in Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana.
And got out of there as fast as I could.
Okay. All right.
And we moved here. It's been about 43 years.
Hmm.
So.
No, wait. Gary, Indiana is a suburb of.
Well, it's right down the Frank Borman Expressway from Chicago. It's literally about 30 to 40 minutes.
And based on your age, you are about the right age. There was some people that lived in Gary, Indiana around the same time.
Gary, Indiana was extremely segregated.
Okay.
So I lived over here and Michael Jackson lived over here at the same time.
Okay.
Pretty much. He was a little bit younger than me.
Right.
And our paths did not cross because that didn't really happen in Gary, Indiana.
All right. So Gary, Indiana. So our famous people are Madonna was born in my hometown.
Nice.
And Dita Von Teese.
Oh, no way.
Yep, there you go.
Nice.
So that's not Dita, obviously. That's something else. But yeah. So that's interesting. How long have you been in Winston?
I think around 43 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
1978,
isn't it?
Okay. So yeah. So we're
like
1977, 78. Yeah. So both got here around the same time.
Yeah.
What brought you here?
Well, that's a cool story because my parents my dad was a preacher and then a missionary my whole life that I can remember.
Right.
And when I was 13, he and my mother got the call to go to the Philippines.
Okay.
So we moved over there, and then we were there for about 5.5 years. We came back, lived in America. I got married, blah, blah, blah. Well, then, so my father, after he was a missionary, he was a mission board head. Then he became a professor,
right,
college professor. And he got a request to come down here and check out when it was Piedmont Bible College.
Mm-hmm.
And we were living in Fort Wayne, Indiana. My husband, Larry, at the time, had just gotten out of the military. He was in the Marine Corps. And so I'd been in the South one time in South Carolina in Beaufort, which was...
Not to be confused with Beaufort.
No.
Yeah.
Super Southern.
Yeah.
It was quite a cultural shock for me. I was only there briefly, but I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
But so then we went back home. And so my parents... I was hugely pregnant with my second child. I think I was 8 months pregnant. I was gigantic. And we said, well, we want to come with you. So we rode in the car down here. And every single person in my family fell in love. Like, it was love at first sight. We were from a horrifying place called Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is industrial. It's cold. There's 12 feet of snow. I mean, it's horrifying. Mm-hmm. So when we went back home, my parents took the job. I had my middle child, Tamise, and we moved back here when Tamise was 2 months old. So it was about a 4-month period where we decided to move.
Right.
We're like, if you're moving here, we're moving, because we hated up there. We didn't have any ties there. So that's how I got here, and loved it. Just fell in love. Every year I fall more in love with this city, except for the heat. Right,
the heat. And folks, I will tell you, we are on Mary's front porch, so you need to know a couple things. If you hear children screaming, it's 2 doors up, her grandchildren.
And they're loud.
She thinks they're loud, they're fine. Who we drove by and they were stark naked on the front porch. Mom lives next door?
Yeah.
And I don't know who's...
My sister lives next door.
Is that her dog that's barks?
She has 3 beagles.
Okay, there's the beagle,
dogs,
but yeah, right.
And
so
they have 3 dogs.
Yeah, so
everybody has dogs.
This is And so if someone walks by, but if someone walks by, that's what you fell in love with. Everybody waves at everybody.
Because I know everybody that walks by.
So all right, so question number 2.
What's my favorite restaurant?
I know what it used to be.
No, it's La Botana.
La Botana.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't know where La Botana is, it's a great Mexican restaurant right near the Walmart on Haynes Mall Boulevard. just phenomenal
It's
food.
owned by a couple, Rigo and Julie Hernandez, and so it's family owned and operated.
And it's not Mex-American either.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate what Americans have done to Mexican food, because Mexican food, depending on which province you go to or which area, it's all different. There's Oaxaca, there's all different. And it's what they've done in America. You get that plate from, some amalgamation there, and it's, it all looks
Beans,
the same.
rice,
It's kind of
lettuce,
just like this mushy, gross, and lots of cheese. They just throw cheese at it. Okay, there's cheese, there's beans, there you go.
Right.
That's not the way Rigo cooks. And he is so innovative, so passionate, such a wonderful person. They're just the hardest working. And I've always been in love for a lot of my life with new Mexican food, that type of food. I love chilies. I like hot food, but I like flavorful food and innovative, and there's so much you can do with that kind of food. So when I found them, they opened, I think, shortly after I did. Just fell in love, and we used to eat there every Saturday after I got off work from the restaurant, because I would be so exhausted and worn out, and that was what brought life back to me. That's my soul food. And so, yeah.
And I don't think people really understand what you mean brought life back, because Mary's was not just a restaurant, it was an experience,
Yes.
and it was a show.
Yes.
It was a show in the sense of you had people watching was phenomenal, but more importantly, you had just developed an eclectic restaurant that people came not only to eat your food, but also to see you.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's
was,
hard.
No, but
In the sense of,
well,
it drains
the
you.
thing. It's people always want something from me, but I have a lot to give, so that's okay. But here's the thing about me. I don't think I don't even know where the box is. Like, I'm out here. I'm not a joiner. I do my own thing. And so people are like, how did you come up with that? Well, it was just me. It's what's inside of me. And I've never been to business school. I've never been to culinary school. I love to cook, and thank goodness I have a palate that's compatible with a lot of people. But I really still pretty much know nothing about business. That's just all smoke and mirrors to me. But like I said on a post the other day, it's all grits, love, and magic, and that sounds romantic and kind of silly in this day and age, but that's just who I am. And I'm not even sure you can do that anymore. I don't know. But it's true that I went into this completely with my idea of what I wanted. And the only time I ever got off track was when I let someone come in and say, well, you need to do this. And I would listen and kind of get away, and I'd have to bring it back.
And
so it was easy and hard at the same time.
I think, and I'm sorry, I'm looking up and trying to put this into words without, so you don't smack me. But I don't. You got smacked on the hand one time too with the national thing, where you were just saying, "Hey, that's pretty cool that people care enough about whatever they're doing
to be grateful,
yeah. And no matter who it was." Yeah. And you did that, and then it was like, "Oh gosh, you're a horrible person." It's like, but go ahead.
But how did that turn out?
Yeah.
I became world famous in 72 hours.
I know.
How is that a bad thing?
Right, but it was just like, It
It
wasn't ever your intention to get that. Oh, it was great for you.
No.
I as they say, any press is good
That's
press.
Right.
But all you were doing was saying, you know what? Thank you for being grateful.
Right.
You didn't care if they were hugging a tree outside. It was thank you for being grateful. And then to have hatred spewed your way, but then also it turned out to be great.
And also, because I'm kind of old school,
right.
This whole thing with the internet, Facebook came, and all this came to be during the time that I had my restaurant, because we opened the restaurant in 2000. Right. There wasn't anything like that in 2000. So I've had to come into this, and even though I was somewhat savvy, I had no idea that you could be world known in 72 hours because of the internet when you go viral. So here's the thing. Yes, there was a lot of hate thrown at me. But you know what that's done to me? I'm pretty much invincible. It's like people come after me on the internet, and I'm like, is that all you got?
Right.
Come on, So that's cool. It made me have that kind of a thing. And also, the amount of support I had was way more than the negativity. Way. And the most important part to me was that I had almost 100% support here in my own city.
Correct.
Because this is where people really know me.
Right.
And the people that don't like me here, that's fine. If everyone liked me, probably would mean I wasn't being true to who I was. So as long as my city understood where I was coming from, that I was okay with it.
I think the thing that was interesting to me and I'm going to go out on a limb here. You're not a conservative person. I would find you to be more liberal.
I'm very liberal.
I knew that.
More than you.
Yeah. But what's crazy is as a liberal, you had like conservatives lined up behind you, ready to pull swords, going, "Don't you bother her."
I know.
And so it was like you united a whole group of people.
Let's just go back to that thing I said about the box.
Right.
So here's what happened there.
Right.
People put me, those people put me in this box. Like, oh, because she's about prayer or taking a moment, whatever, that means she's a certain way.
Right.
Which is not true.
Mm-mm.
Don't put me in that box.
No.
Because I'm not in the box.
Mm-mm.
So, funny story that happened when that was all going on. People would show up to support us from other towns, like, and they would come in. This one lady in particular, she came in for brunch, and she was like, "Oh, we're here because we heard about it." And I said, "Well, great." And she said, and she said, "But we can't stay." I'm like, "You came all this way, you can't stay? Why?" She goes, "Because you don't let us bring our guns in." And I was like, "Honey, I've been doing this for a long time. I've never needed a gun at brunch. I think you're okay. Just go lock that up in your car." But she wouldn't do it.
Right.
So that's what happened and then...
You got gun lockers outside Mary's, of course.
Right. And then also when they found out that I was aligned with the gay community, you could see, like, at one point there'd be like 30,000 people on our Facebook page.
Right.
And you could see, as these different things came out later, those numbers, the likes would just drop.
The Red Sea party.
Because I'm not one... I'd have all kinds of different things that make me, but I'm not in a particular box. So that was cool too, because I got to shake the tree a little bit. I enjoy that. I like shaking it up. I'm kind of a rule breaker. So.
Well, I think my thing is I didn't like that it, obviously the end result was wonderful, but I didn't like it at first because my friend, even though we weren't friends, in the sense of you knew of me or that type of thing, but my friend was hurt. I don't like it when someone does something nice and it's wrong.
And it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Because you're not outspoken. All right, so the next question is an easy one, I think, because we're sitting there. I'm assuming your favorite thing to do in Winston-Salem is probably sit on this porch and have a libation.
Really
but what is your favorite thing to do?
I do love being here, but I've been here a little too much lately.
Right.
I am very much an extrovert, so I like going out. I like eating out, hanging with friends, going to hear music, going to a movie. I mean, pretty simple.
Last two. I'm so sad. I'd go see a movie.
I know. Aperture, come on.
I know.
Yeah. And that's really hard. It's been a hard thing, and that's why I have people come to my porch now, because at least as an extrovert, I'm getting some kind of conversation with somebody other than my husband and 3 dogs. So.
Right. Well, and so, it's. I think when you say it's really the thing that's been hard for me has been not getting to go to a movie or not going to see live music. As you know from your background on me, I have a 6-year-old, and the hardest thing and yes, folks, she's 6 now. The hardest thing for me has been looking down, seeing my child wearing a mask.
I can't even.
That's not the world I brought her into. No. I mean, you were telling me your grandkids live 2 doors up.
Yeah, I've got 3 that are older. One is going to be a senior at School of the Arts next year.
Right.
And then his sister, who lives up there with my other daughter, she's 19. And I have another 19-year-old. And then I have the 3 babies, because I had 2 children when I was really young, and then I had 1 child. It was kind of a surprise on the end there. I'm
the surprise on the end. 9 years later, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
okay, so,
but how great is that?
So, I mean, I think people need to understand this. You can wave at them right now. You're not able to even see them.
Yeah, well, we go up the street, because they're fenced in their little cages.
Right.
So they just be safe, because they're pretty feral.
Yep.
As you saw.
Yeah.
They're just wonderful little beings. Oh, my gosh, they're so magical. And we love them so much. And we used to have family dinner here every Tuesday. Complete chaos. I loved it. And I haven't been able to do that since March. It's heartbreaking. But I can go up there, talk to them through the fence. They tell me stories. We give them lollipops. I just got a new puppy about a month ago, and we take her up there and they pet her, you know. So even though I haven't been able to touch them and hug them and have them here at the house, I'm better off than a lot of grandmas who live across the country, or, you know, and they will not be seeing their grandchildren until God only knows.
So my dad and Laura touch feet.
Oh, nice.
And so my dad's 95, and that's what your issue is the same as mine is.
Yes.
You're taking care of mom.
My mom lives right next door, and she's 86.
Yeah.
She's okay, but, you know, she's still high risk.
Yeah. So with my dad, he's got a girlfriend, so he'll go see her. Oh, I know. Don't even go there.
Do they live here?
Yeah, my dad lives across the street from Forsyth Country Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Charlie Shelton's old house.
Oh, nice.
So when they moved to Charlotte after that whole debacle, my parents bought their house. And then they lived there until Mom passed away. I guess it's been 5 years now.
Okay.
And but yeah, no, it's one of those things where you just basically
He's 95.
95. He'll be 95 on August the 10th, so Monday, and still drives.
Oh my gosh.
I was at his house this morning.
That's so great.
Yeah,
He sounds
he's
like
crazy.
He's a character.
Yeah, you ask Keith about my dad. All right, you ask Keith about my dad. All right, so Stabler, I don't know if you know this, and I explained to guests. Stabler, of course, it films us and things. If you buy a camera in the UK, if it films longer than 20 minutes, it's considered a VCR, and they're taxed differently. So when we do this, we do it on a camera rather than a VCR because we get much better things. So what we have to do is we're going to smile at the camera and say, "I'm going to take a break."
Oh yeah.
And then because it's got to be 20 minutes. I mean, we could show pictures of it. We could show it. You got an exterior picture of Mary's, of course, that you could share with me.
I do.
All right. So then we'll put that up, and that'll be our break so that we don't have a jump cut.
Okay.
All right. So
Yeah,
there you go.
All right.
All right, so I hate to take those breaks, but you know that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So I want to. Our next break, we're gonna show that front door knocker. That thing is the bomb. So we'll
I got the
talk
door
about.
knocker in Charleston.
All right, cool. So all right, now we've talked about our 3 questions. Now it's time to get to the matter at hand. You know what that question's going to be.
Why did you close?
So why did I don't? That is the question. But tell me about Mary's, of course. How did we start?
All right.
Because I mean, obviously, you moved once. Did you move once or twice?
You mean to North Carolina?
No, to the store. Did you?
Oh no, we opened where Delicios is now. That was
Right,
our
that's
first
it, yeah,
store
right,
in
yeah.
2000.
In 2000,
And
you
in
opened where Delicios is.
2010,
Right.
we went down to Trade Street.
You went down to Trade Street, again investing in your community.
Right.
All right. So tell me about Mary's, of course. What was Mary's, of course, and then let's ask the question of why'd you close?
Well, I loved restaurants. They were magical to me because as a child we really didn't go that much. We weren't rich. I mean, you know, mostly we ate at home, but then my dad was a preacher, so people would take us out to eat Sunday lunch, and I was like, oh, places where you can get whatever you want. This is cool, and it seemed fantastical to me, like these are magic places where you could get this food, that everything you wanted, and so then, as a young woman, I started waiting tables in restaurants because you can go make a lot of money for just a few hours, and you could kind of come and go as you needed to. So it was a perfect job for me. And I went to college, but I never finished because I wanted to open a restaurant. So I just had this dream for a long, long time, like 20 years of wanting to open a restaurant, but I didn't have any money. And like I said, we're not wealthy people. My parents were fine, but they weren't dripping with money. So I pretty much put the dream on hold, and I went back to college. I went to Guilford College.
Okay.
And was
Quaker.
Yeah, I do love the Quaker.
That was a great school.
I'm not
I took a couple
Quakers,
classes
but
there.
I wish I was.
Yeah, I took a couple classes
they're
there.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a great school.
So I went to school there. I had a 4.0. I was in my 40s, in my early 40s, and I was on that track. I was going to be a substance abuse counselor, you know, go into all that. But truly, my biggest dream was to own a restaurant. Way more than that. And then, I don't know, I just started thinking about, like, is that what I really want to do? And, you know, so I started bugging my parents, like, I really want to do this restaurant thing. And they owned an apartment building over here in West-Salem and a house, but, you know, they had the apartment building, which was worth money. And I somehow convinced them to put that up as collateral, because that's the only thing we had that could give me enough cash to open. And my parents, like, that's the whole reason that I was able to open a restaurant, was because my parents believed in me, and God only knows why, but they totally did.
I think it's pretty easy to understand why they did.
I mean, my
You're their baby.
goodness. Oh my gosh, they were so amazing. So they put up that as collateral, and I came into this opportunity because the building that we opened in was over there on Cherry and South Marshall and Broad, and it was called Penny University, and it was just a little coffee house, kind of deli. And I knew the lady that owned it, and she got very ill, and she didn't have insurance, health insurance. So imagine that in America. So she came to me because she heard I was kind of looking. I'd been looking for about a year. I had real specific things I wanted, and I really couldn't find it. So I'd kind of been like, well, maybe this isn't going to work. And I was working at Whole Foods. It was right when Whole Foods opened. I was working in the deli there during the day. I was waiting tables at night. And I was a single mom then, because Larry and we were divorced. She came to see me, and she goes, hey, I got a deal for you. If you can just give me this amount of money, I can let you have this restaurant, because I need to get surgery or I'm going to die. And I'm like, oh, it's a win-win. Mm-hmm. So my parents put up that apartment building as collateral. They got the loan. She got her surgery, and she's fine to this day. She works at
awesome.
Costco.
Right.
And I got my little restaurant, and I had to take out a little bit more of a loan to like upfit it, because we wanted it to be a restaurant. I hadn't actually cooked food in there.
Right.
So that was my dream, and I wanted a place where you could come and get really good breakfast food, brunch food. I loved brunch. I was crazy about brunch.
So my wife is too. There's
Back
really
in the
not a
day-
place.
Well, back in the day, there was one
Now there's like
place.
12.
Yeah.
Right.
There's one place, and that was the Village Tavern, the
Right.
original Village Tavern. And quite frankly, I used to wait tables in fine dining. And me and all my friends who would be up late, we would want to get up on Sunday and go to have brunch. That was really the only place. And we went there. There was this wonderful waitress, and they had great food, but the coffee was horrifying. Mm-hmm. So we would have to find like a coffee shop and get because we were coffee snobs. We had to get our good coffee somewhere else and then go there and eat food. And I remember thinking, I need to open some place where you can get great food and great coffee at the same place at brunch.
Right.
So that's what I did. And really, I'm the kind of person who, I'm a risk taker by nature. So I just go in and do something. I'm like, let's do this, wham, and then I just make all the mistakes. But
we'll figure it out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out as we go along.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, why wait?
How hard could it be?
Yeah. It's not like I'm going to kill anybody. Let's just go.
So I just did it, and I am, if nothing else, I am tenacious. Mm-hmm. And I do not see obstacles as stop signs. I see them as a challenge to go under, over, around, or through, which can be very difficult in your own body and brain. And the first 10 years almost killed me. I'll be quite honest. Just physically, it was I'll tell you, normally,
I don't see you as a delegator very much either.
No,
I'm real
controlled.
Yeah.
Because I have a vision. And
You want to lay down on that couch? I mean, we could get this
therapy.
Yeah.
So but I have to say that it was a dream, and not only did I fulfill my dream, it went way over the top.
Nationally known.
I mean, I was on the Daily Show.
Right.
I've been in Our State. I've been in Southern Living. I've met all kinds of celebrities, and I mean, where else have you seen a restaurant in this town where there was a line from the door to the street when you opened on Saturday and Sunday? It's unheard of. It was a phenomenon, and it was very special. And so I feel like awesome about that.
Right.
Like I really, and I'm not afraid at my age to own what I did. I obviously could not have done it alone. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I did.
But you give credit. You do give credit.
I do give credit.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be where I am without my parents. There's no question in my life,
No, there's no way. I would have
and the same as you, we both have very, very supportive spouses.
Yes.
All right, so before we get to the big question, which, is the elephant in the room of why did you close,
Right.
which you've, told everybody, but we'll do it on video but so I have two questions that have just come up, and one is, what was your favorite thing over all the years? What's your favorite dish? What was your favorite dish you ever did?
That we make?
Yeah.
Well, my favorite dish was always our New Mexican brunches.
Okay.
Because I got married 12 years ago, so that was about halfway through our run.
Right.
And we went to New Mexico for our honeymoon.
Didn't you guys do something like an Eggs Benedict or something with like hatch chili or something like that?
We do. That's the thing is while we were there in Santa Fe.
Do you got any hatch chili in the house? Could you?
Of course I do.
Oh my gosh.
So I
Yep.
learned about hatch chilies in New Mexico. We went to Albuquerque, then we went all the way up. We ended up staying in Taos, then we came back. But I got to learn all about chilies and experience the Christmas,
Right.
red and green and all that. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is my food. So I had a lady from Santa Fe, the chili shop, that sent me chilies every year, and we keep them in the freezer, and you could use them all year.
Right.
So I was the only restaurant in town that made something with authentic hatch chilies. It's a flavor like nowhere else in the world because that's the only place they grow these in the high desert.
It's like Vidalia onions.
Exactly.
It's only grown in Georgia.
You can only have it there. And
Right.
so my favorite dishes were the ones that I created with the hatch chilies. And people, especially people from New Mexico that would eat, they're like, oh my gosh, this is really hatch chili. I'm like, yeah. So the people from here didn't really know exactly. We would tell them, but the reason this is different from chili powder, which to me is just sad,
Right.
is because it's hatch chilies. And we had the red ones, the green ones, we'd get the hot ones. Oh my gosh. My favorite. That's my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. And I agree. I mean, that was
Absolutely.
wonderful.
You can't, nobody else did that.
Most famous celebrity or the celebrity that you couldn't believe came and ate at your restaurant?
David Sedaris.
Okay.
And, Sister Mary Beth lives here.
Mm-mm.
Well, she does.
Okay.
And at the little place, he's very, very shy.
Okay.
He doesn't want anybody to talk to him. He used to come in, incognito. But when he used to come, when I had the little place, he and his sister would show up there whenever he was in town. They called it their place.
Right.
So he would eat there, and then his sister, the famous one, Amy,
Right,
she's eaten
Amy.
at the other place.
Yeah, Amy's the writer.
Amy Sedaris.
Yeah.
She's been. We've had so many over the
Okay.
years, but I think the one that blew my mind was, and of course his name's gonna escape me. He was the guy that did Ghost Hunter.
Manny.
Oh no!
No.
Oh shoot! I can't remember his
All
name.
right. So Stabler, can you figure out who did Ghost Hunter?
Not Ghost Hunter.
What is it?
Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dogs.
Yeah. Well, that or you can look it up on your phone while we're talking, then you
was
can
the
holler
lead.
for the
It's an African American actor who's just amazing. He's one of my favorite
Ghost
actors.
Dog.
Ghost Dog.
Main actor.
He walked in the door, and I'm pretty nonplussed by celebrities normally. I mean, they're really just people too. Sissy Spacek came
Right.
in. I mean, all kinds of people.
Well, I'm
And
assuming Maya came in. Do you ever have Maya in?
Maya Angelou, no, she never.
Okay,
did.
I
was
served-
very sad about that.
I served her at the Coliseum when I was working at the Coliseum. I took some stuff out to her because I was just moonlighting. That was when I was running KNS
Well,
News.
when I waited tables in my 20s
Right.
at the Cotton Company,
Who is it?
that's it.
Forrest.
Forrest
Oh
Whitaker.
my gosh!
Let me tell you what happened. Normally when celebrities
He's a
came
big
in,
guy,
they're
too.
No, he's really not.
Really? He looks like he's a
No,
big guy.
He's very unassuming. And
No, I'm talking about. Isn't he a
No.
larger size guy? No.
He was.
Okay.
Well, he must have lost weight because
Okay.
he was coming here because his son was seeing if he's going to go to schoolyards.
Right.
Normally when celebrities come in, I'm like, oh, cool, whatever, they're here.
Mm-hmm.
When Forrest Whitaker came in, in the old restaurant,
Knock people down.
the kitchen was here and you had to come
Right.
around this corner to see the front door. And I saw him walk in the door and I literally gasped and walked back behind the cooler. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's Forrest Whitaker. I was losing my mind because I think he's an amazing actor.
I feel like Notting Hill when Julia Roberts walks in. Not Notting Hill, but is it Notting Hill? Yeah, where Julia Roberts walks in and the sister goes, "We're gonna be best friends."
Yeah.
No.
Well, but here's the thing. I never, ever let my wait staff
Right.
treat them any differently. No, they could not ask for
Autographs and
nothing. I'm like, no, that is, let them have their peace. Just be grateful they're here, and it's all good.
So, all right. So across the street from, what's the restaurant?
Meridian?
Yeah. So those guys, did you ever hear the story about Dan Marino coming in? So Dan Marino comes in right after they open, and he owns a place upstairs, because his
right.
son's going to school there,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Where's your TV at?" "Oh, we just started the restaurant. We don't have." What's the address here? I'll send you a TV. Because
Oh
when I
my
come to visit my
gosh.
son, I want to be able to
Oh
watch
my
sports on
gosh,
TV, right?
that's so funny.
And so he buys him a TV, and he comes in, and he comes in later, and he goes, "Oh my God!" And he's what? He goes, "They sent you wrong TV. It's not big enough. Let me get you the other TV." He goes, "No, no, Mr. Marino, this one's fine." But it's crazy how many famous people go through Winston-Salem.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
all the
so
way. I
many.
mean,
So many.
Stevie Wonder's been to Winston-Salem. I mean, you go back, and I think Elvis has performed maybe at the Coliseum. I'm not too
You know
sure.
the guy,
It's just nuts.
The guy in Cheers, the postman?
Norm.
No, the
No,
postman.
Cliff.
Yeah.
Yep.
That guy, he was in Winston doing something, a play or something.
Mm.
And he ate at my restaurant every day. He told the press that was his favorite restaurant. I mean, they're very sweet. Very
Well, do you
sweet.
remember Mr. Destiny?
Yeah.
Okay, so our friend.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, thanks. Our friend played the father in Mr. Destiny, the
Right.
one that gets not hit in the back of the head.
I've never seen the
Okay,
movie.
so his name's Bill McCutcheon. He won a Tony for Anything
Nice.
Goes. He was
Nice.
Moonface Martin, but he was our family friend. We lived in the same neighborhood. My parents did a little theater, helped build sets and
Right.
stuff like that with him. And I was like a minuscule kid. I mean, I was like 4. But he came to town when they were filming Mr. Destiny, and he was in that. Jim Belushi ate
Yeah.
like every single night at Paul's,
Nice.
and said
Nice.
that was it was
Nice,
the
yeah.
closest that he could get to
Yeah,
Italian.
we do get a lot of celebrities. We used to, especially before the film commission was not funded.
Right.
Not that I'm bitter. Uh-oh. Loud truck.
Well, we can pause for the question there. That wasn't even a truck. That's a tractor. You live in the city. What are they doing?
I don't know. We get all kinds of stuff.
But all right. So then now, you have a run, and COVID hits. But that's not really the reason why. That was just it's the old sign that the big guy's telling you, hey, this might be a good idea for you. And so what happened?
Well, so after Larry died, Larry was my ex-husband, but we were partners
Right.
and very, very close.
Right.
He came up to work with me in the beginning of 2015, and he worked through 2017. In 2017, September, I'm sorry, he died in September.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a motorcycle crash and died.
Right.
So 2018, we had already been talking a little bit, because we were getting close to 65 at that point, and we were
Right.
talking a little bit about what's our next step, because we don't want to be doing this when we're super old, because it'll kill us,
Right.
because it was trying to kill us as it was. So we had already talked about that while he was alive, like what direction are we going to go? And then he died, like unexpectedly.
Right.
And so 2018 was kind of a blur to me. All I knew was I had to keep that restaurant open, because you can't sell something that's not open and running.
Right.
So even though I don't remember it, but then that's where Michael Millon came into the picture, and I'd sort of known who he was in the culinary scene, but he knew me very well because he'd been coming to my restaurant for 10 years and really admired what I did.
Right.
And I found out he was interested. We started talking, and for me, when I had opened it, like, just on a business level, it wasn't open to the public, but lots of people came forward to want to buy the restaurant. But maybe they didn't know me, they're from out of state, or maybe I didn't like them, or, just different things.
There's truly something to the vision.
Yes, absolutely. So for me, it's always not been about money anyway. I mean, yes, I have to have money to live, but that's not my main priority.
And now we go to the cliffhanger. We got to take a break. We're going to show that. Come back. I want them to see that door hanger and the door that you guys have been working on here at this house, and then we'll have her finish the answer. All right, so we're back. You started down. And when you have something successful, is that, hey,
Yeah.
could you want to sell?
So I wanted not to be, I mean, I was getting older. I would like to retire. And plus, Larry was gone. And that really took an emotional toll on me.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael Millon came into my life, and he is such an amazing chef. He's the best businessman I've ever seen, which probably doesn't take a lot to impress me, but he is. And he wanted to buy in, so I checked him out, because for me, it was about the fact that he was moral and ethical. I watched how he was with his wife, with his children, because I'm not going to get somebody who's a misogynistic player or whatever, drug, I mean, the whole thing, just the whole thing. So I really respected who he was, and he's totally himself. And so we became partners. So we did the transition thing, and on my 65th birthday, I walked out of there. And was still very involved with decision making and all that, but I didn't have to do the work anymore on the ground. He took over. And
You were back to the show in a sense. You were there to kind of be Mary up front.
Sometimes, but really not even that much.
Okay.
I mean, I was pretty beaten down. I'll be honest with you, like emotionally, spiritually, physically. The 20 years and then that last couple years with Larry and all that had really taken its toll on me. So I needed a little bit of a break. So I came home and really retired for a year where I didn't go into work, but we still talked. We were very much still involved. And I owned 60% of it and he owned 40. Well, then later on, he asked if he could buy in to be majority. I'm like, yeah, that's great. And he, within a year or two, because we were coming up on 2 years of being partners, he had really turned it around. I mean, because coming into this economy, things had to change. Because the way I did business, I just bought what I wanted and just did what I wanted. And I mean, I still had pretty good food costs, but there was a lot of things that, in order to go into the future to be successful in this economy, needed to be refigured.
Right. You could still have good quality, but maybe you could go to this and it's a little cheaper, that type of thing, right?
Just finding
off-brand or stuff like that.
I mean, even just different people were selling things. There was more availability.
Right.
Like, for example, when I opened, there was one farmer.
Okay.
One. I was the first one, other than Cumberland Cafe,
Right.
to bring farm to table.
Right.
Just let's not forget that.
Okay. You heard it right there.
Cumberland Cafe, which was owned by, half the team was Margie and Bill Imus, who owned Minglewood Farms still.
Right.
That's where the farming came from. They were my first farmer because
Okay.
they sold out to their partners, opened the farm, or, went just doing the farming. So now there's so many farmers.
Because it was Cisco and PYA Monarch when you started, right?
Pretty
was it only
much,
two? Yeah.
Pretty much. So
For food.
I took this journey of finding eggs local, dairy local, grits local, flour local, produce local. I mean, seriously, nobody else was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud of the fact that now everyone, and we have lots of farmers, and the farm to table is here, and that's awesome.
Right.
But I forget what I was saying.
You were talking about he had bought out the 60. Now he's 60, you're 40 or whatever. And,
right.
And you were going down the path of
So
the food costs and changing that.
So he brought it into being really profitable again.
Right.
So that was awesome. And then so you come to March 2020. We did great 2019. Even the shutdown, I-40 shutdown, did not affect us that badly. I mean, it did, but see, we were on this end of...
But you were a destination and before that.
Right, but we were on this end of trade, so you could still access us. You didn't have to go downtown.
People weren't coming to your restaurant because, where do we want to go? It's I got to eat breakfast at Mary's.
So we did not suffer
right.
like a lot of other people did. But I was still definitely the leader in, trying to get the word out for people, because it's important to me. I want everyone to thrive. So when this came along, we were in good position in March. Well, then, the whole world shifted in 24 hours.
Right.
You were like, everything's fine. And I didn't understand how critical this was. I did not. And then everything went crazy. So we closed to be safe right away. And then as the months went by, Michael and I were having conversations about reopening because the governor was talking about the 22nd of, I think it was April.
Okay.
He was going to let restaurants do takeout or something.
Right.
So we start talking, and I'm like, wow, my food has never been like takeout food. It's comfort food that should be enjoyed right there. My restaurant is packed. There's people. It's a crush. That's like the whole point of it.
There's like a mannequin somewhere,
It's in my yard.
I know.
So, I mean, that's the whole brand is comfort food. It's closeness. I give you a hug and a kiss. Like, we're very physical with people. Mm-hmm. And I realized he kept going, all right, we need to decide what we're going to do to open. And I kept going, no, don't do it. I kept putting the brakes on, like, no, don't do it. And I realized that as long as my name's on it, I'm going to feel responsible, which I should. And I realized that for all these reasons, like no takeout, no closeness, I'm old and I don't want to rebrand, all these things. Plus, I don't ever want to think that someone came to my restaurant and got sick.
Mm-hmm.
So for my staff, for my customers, like it just felt wrong on so many levels. And so I made this decision. And then when Michael and I started talking, he kind of had come to that as well. Like, yeah, this Mary's isn't that thing. Like, you know. So we kind of came to it separately and then together. And so I said, I have to close Mary's. It's not Mary's anymore. It wouldn't be Mary's.
Right.
If I was younger, maybe. But no, I don't want to live these next few years of my life under constant, horrifying stress. So, you know, I made that decision a while ago, and I still believe it's one of the best things I ever did.
I think it was definitely.
And I would rather go out in a blaze of glory than to cough my way to a slow, horrible death. You know, which is sort of gross when you think about the pandemic when they died. But that's kind of how I thought of it. And so I'm also not that person. I just couldn't do it. And so made the announcement, and really the people that understand me, they understood completely. I mean, people, but the funny thing is when I'm out in public, I'm the one who ends up comforting people.
Well,
they're like, "Oh my God," I'm like, "It's okay.
It's okay, yeah.
You'll be okay."
I'm going to do a book soon or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll teach you how to do my recipes. So I got a few more questions. I think this one's probably going to be the worst one of the whole thing. Your staff.
Yeah, I mean.
I know that you care so much about people.
I mean, and you know, they were well taken care of with the unemployment situation up until right now.
Right.
Because the 600 went away this week.
Right.
I think it's this week. So, yes, that is very difficult because, you know, now Michael is going to open a restaurant there. His restaurant's going to open there in the same space. And I'm sure he'll have some of those people back. But I don't really know. That's not my business.
Right, no.
I'm not a partner anymore.
Yeah.
But of course, it's very sad. And, I mean, that's probably been one of the hardest things to deal with, knowing that. And I insisted that I was the one that made the announcement to them that we were closing. And, you know, there was a lot of crying. And it was awful.
Yeah. No, I've been involved in transitions before, and it's like not doing it, like having Michael do it instead of you is just not cool.
No, it's not. No, I had to be the one.
Yeah, I knew that one was going to bother you. Also, your customers, I mean, that's got to be hard for you.
It is. It's very hard, and I miss them, but I still stay connected with a lot of them. And when I'm out in public, of course, you know, because I made some tremendous friends, and they're way more than customers to me.
Yeah. All right. I got 2 more questions for you. How's retirement?
Retirement's great.
You aren't retired. What are you doing?
Well, I'm working on 2 projects. The first one, I'm not really working on because my husband is working on it with Chad Nance.
Okay.
But
we've heard of him.
You've heard of him?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
He's pretty amazing.
Yeah. No,
but
he was a great guest.
10 years ago, when I commissioned all the art to go up at Mary's with my 5 favorite local artists, my husband, who is an archivist, he's just naturally like that. He was like, "Oh, wait a minute." I mean, we didn't have iPhones and stuff like that even. But he had his camera, he has the video camera. And he went in and documented all of that art being painted, going up. I mean, he's got all this footage.
Now, this is the stuff that you sold.
No, some of it.
Auctioned off.
But this is all the stuff that hangs at Mary's.
Right.
So he's got all the artists, he's got them doing it, he's got all this amazing footage. So it was my dream to make an art documentary. Well, going along, like he didn't really have the skills, and you know, it's a lot
why would
to
you want
edit.
to talk to Chad? I mean, come
But see,
on, yeah.
No, what happened is this had been going on for a long time, and my husband doesn't know how to edit a film. I mean, it's a lot. So, miraculously, bing, Chad Nance comes into our life. These 2, like, they were separated at birth. Like, they're 2 of the most intelligent men I've ever met in my life. Like, when they're talking, I just go make a sandwich because it's like, I can't even follow it. Yeah. They're so intelligent. And so he's been working with Chad Nance. So what he's been doing is working kind of in a bartering thing where he helps Chad on his projects, and Chad is going to help us do the art doc. So that's in the works. I'm hoping that in the next year we're going to be able to show it, and we're going to, Lauren Desai at Aperture.
I was going to say Lauren,
who approached us, and she was like, we want to make sure that we get to premiere this at Aperture, which makes me so happy.
You know, you realize you're probably going to have to make some food for the premiere.
I might have to do that.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, so Mary's, of course, isn't gone yet. Yay! All right.
And also, the second thing that I'm doing is I'm really working on this project of some kind of a memoir, cookbook kind of thing, but I don't want to be locked into this idea of a grandma book.
Right.
I mean, I am a grandma, but I think a little bit differently than a lot of grandmas. So I want to just bring it into this
Okay.
era. So I'm thinking about hitting it with sort of a new way of being maybe digital and a little bit different. So we're still working on that, but it's coming together, and I got a lot of stories to tell, and I think that I love to tell stories. I like to tell stories verbally, so we're thinking about along those lines, and then sharing recipes, and then doing videos of teaching people how to cook these recipes. So that's something that we're working on. Yeah,
All right. Cool.
yeah. I'm excited.
Well, I think that you will do fine in anything you do. And as you know, Stabler is for hire, so you may want to talk to him about the video
Nice.
aspect of things. He's such an awesome kid and does a great job for us. So,
Awesome. You didn't ask me one
nope,
question. Oh,
nope.
you have to ask
And
me.
now the final question, Mary's favorite question. You got how many minutes? She got 8
yeah, I
minutes
got
to
8
answer
minutes.
it. All right. You know where we've been. Where do you see the city that you and I both love going, and what do you want it to be?
Well, I want it to be the city of the arts again.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where we were when Phil was alive, Phil
Right.
Haynes.
Yep.
And it kind of got away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want it to go back. Because arts isn't just about painting and sculpture. Of course, that's all very, very important.
Right.
But there's culinary arts. There's music.
It's attitude.
It's the whole
Yeah.
package. And I don't want to be some dry corporate. I mean, I know you need that for the money, and that's great, but please don't forget that we're supposed to be the city of the arts. And I just have to say that Phil Haynes was.
I thought it was a motorcycle.
We get more beaters on this street.
Yeah.
Phil Haynes, I knew him when he was alive, and he was very supportive of what we were doing, and I admire so much the way he lived his life, because he could have put his money in a lot of different things, but he's very supportive of the arts. And also, I have to say, this is very important, this from my heart, is that I didn't know anything about art when I opened my restaurant in 2000. I thought it was in Europe in big museums. I didn't know that people amongst us did these things. Like, I don't know. I just
Like
never got
Artomatic.
that.
How cool was that when that came out?
And we had the original one.
Yeah.
So my life has been forever changed and uplifted and beautified by not only the art, but the people that make this art. Like, so many of my friends are artists and women, and so I believe art saves lives. And I believe that without the arts, I don't even want to be alive. Like, think about getting through the pandemic without music, without movies. I mean, all these things, and the artists that are still selling, these girls that sell things on Etsy and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you be without art? It wouldn't even be worth living.
Yep.
So I just want to see, be innovation, great, because that's the money part.
Right.
It's going to support the arts. But please don't forget the arts. Because I feel like for a while there, it was kind of going in that direction. It was heartbreaking to me.
Well, I think my thing is we lose this feather and stuff like that with BB&T leaving or things like that. I would rather be an incubator city than
Yes.
rely on one company
Yes.
to give
Obviously,
us.
that doesn't work, yeah.
What do they call that when you let the money? It's called a mission shift.
Right.
It's where your mission is shifted because you followed the money.
Right.
And I would rather, I don't want to disparage any town around us, but I feel like that of the towns around us, we are the best.
Absolutely.
Because and a great place for us to raise family and
Right.
and friends and all of that stuff. But you are correct. Arts are wonderful.
So important.
And
It gives us the unique flavor. The restaurants we have and the art galleries, which have waned,
Right.
need to come back, and all the public art. I personally, in the past few months, have been responsible for 2 pieces of public art that have gone up, which I'm so proud of, and will continue to do as I can. So please, let's not forget all the people in this community are amazing. Like, I can't say enough wonderful, grateful feelings about the people in this community who have supported the restaurants, the music, the arts. Let's keep doing that. Let's not forget where we came from. And also, shout out to Moravians, because I believe what sets this city apart is that the heartbeat of this city is Moravian. Let's not forget that. Those are good people that were into the arts and the crafts and the equality between men and
Equality,
women.
yep.
Come on, like this
And
is
equality
so
in
important.
races too.
Well, pretty close.
Pretty close. I mean, they were
They
innovators
did
for
have
their
some
time.
Slaves,
They did,
they're,
but
you know, and thank goodness for Frank over there at Old Salem, who's resurrecting all that history, and I really admire him for that. So I think we have a really good foundation. Let's just not forget where we came from, so we hold true to some of that and bring it into this 2020, 21, 22 on into the future, so that my grandchildren can go to School of the Arts and can, you know, be artists and be thriving in this community. It's important.
well, I'm so happy that I've had the opportunity to talk to you today. You're a wonderful lady. You're an inspiration to not only ladies, but also to our whole community. I think that it's very important when you have someone that is so driven, but also so down to earth. And so I thank you for talking with us today.
For asking me.
And
It's
I look forward to hear about all your other things going, and let us know if we can help out in any way with
cool.
that.
Thank you.
Folks, want to thank you again for watching Camel City Chat. We're going to have Trey Mayo, the fire chief, is going to be on the week after you.
Nice.
So I think I get to sit on the back of a fire truck to interview him.
Oh, well, that's better than the porch.
No, it's not better than the porch, but don't tell him that. But want to thank you guys, and of course, check us out, subscribe, like, etc., all the above, and we'll be back next time with more Camel City Chat.